Alrighty. Looks like we got everyone here or online, so I will call to order the Common Council meeting on May 26th at 7:35. First up is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alder Radafrada.
Oh,
Did we lose her?
her chair is
I
there.
think she stepped away, but she's.
I'll come back. Alder Clouder. There she is. Alder Radafrada. Can you hear me, Leah?
Yeah.
Alder Gerhardt.
Here.
Alder Krause.
Here.
Alder Maldonado.
Here.
Mayor Richardson.
Here.
Alder Schroeder.
Here.
Alder Strassman.
Here.
Alder Udell.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Public appearances for non-agenda items or new appointments. I don't have anyone here that's for public appearance for non-agenda item. We do have one more appointment, and this is for the Zoning Board of Appeals, Colleen Chase, and she did send me a note. Thank you, Mayor Richardson, for considering me for appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. As mentioned in my application, my family has lived in Fitchburg for 12 years. Since choosing to become a stay-at-home parent, I have volunteered extensively within my daughter's schools, interfaced with city staff, elected officials, and appointed commissioners to address neighborhood concerns. Serving on this commission will enable me to impact residents of the greater Fitchburg community beyond my immediate neighborhood. My professional background, managing and analyzing contracts, will guide my approach to reviewing appeals in the context of the relevant Wisconsin zoning statutes and City of Fitchburg ordinances. Thank you, Colleen. I believe Colleen is in District 4. There's a couple, she applied for a different committee, and this isn't one that a lot of people apply for, but I had to reach out to two other people actually before her. I think they were both in District 1. After a week, we didn't hear back from them, so then I asked Colleen if she would be willing to do this, and she replied right away that she would. So I think she'd be a good person to appoint. If we approve her, there's only one more opening right now, and that's on CETA. We did last week have an applicant for that, so I do hope at our next meeting I will be able to fill that position as well. I believe you got forwarded that application as well. So is there any questions or comments for Colleen, or move to approve? All right, there's a motion to approve by Shannon. Is there a second? Second by Tom. All right, any further questions or comments before we vote? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Consent agenda. Someone want to do a motion for that?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
All right, seconded. Anything that someone wants to take out of the consent agenda at all? I don't see anything. So moving along, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, the consent agenda is approved. Administrator's report. Pat.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to report that all of our staff is still healthy, as are their families, so that's very positive in this time. I'd also like to report that the majority of the staff continues to work from home, but have been very productive, have kept up on all their projects and tasks at hand. And as you'll see tonight, there's also been a few initiatives by staff that we're really happy with and proud of. The proactive nature of the staff bringing forward ideas that can not only help businesses, but the residents of the community sort of move forward beyond this period is very important. And Mike Zimmerman has a few that he'll be bringing forth, and you can ask him questions about tonight. So with that, I'd also like to report that Fact TV is back to their regular schedule. So you'll see the shows that were prior to COVID back on a regular basis. So stay tuned to that. A lot of information out there. about as we move forward, how we're going to be opening, what our businesses are doing, what the county's doing. So there's a lot of information out there, and so try to encourage your neighbors, the individuals in your district, to stay tuned to that and get some good ideas. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Any questions at all at this point? All right. Seeing none, we can get going here to Plan Commission. Tom, do you want to read this first one?
Sure, Mayor. This is Resolution R 101-20, resolution to approve an affidavit of correction to the Terra Vesta to rename portion of End Drive north of Lacey Road to Basseta Road. The Plan Commission approved. I'll move approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded. And do you want to speak to this, or do you want me to? Or?
Name change.
Yeah.
It was just a name change is what it was.
It's to make it a little bit easier for people to find the school. So that intersection, it was across of Lacey and Endive, and now it's going to be Endive one way and Brassica the other. It's annoying. We talked about that at Plan Commission, that when you go to an intersection, it's annoying to have one road go one way and one road go the other. We can do that in ordinances. It happens a few different places. Personal annoyances when Richardson Road does that, but that's very group of one maybe on McKee Road. But we try not to do that. But the biggest thing is it's a very short period of section of road. It curves, and that's why when they originally did it, they thought, well, it curves enough that they should change it right there. But they want to make it easier for people to find the school and not have to drive on Endive for 100 yards, and then it's Brassica. So just make it Brassica right from the intersection, because it's right when you come into that neighborhood. So, any questions at all? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Next one, Tom.
The last one is ordinance 2020-0-16, an ordinance amending Chapter 23 of the Smart Code Ordinance to amend Chapter 5.6.2E relative to lot coverage in the Smart Code zoning district. Plan passed it. I'll move approval.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Julia. Do you want to speak to this one, Tom?
This was to clean up some things in Chapter 23 of the Smart Code. A couple of the ideas was where the lot size, it went from 70 to 80, I believe. Driveways were in question. The lot townhouses were in question. It was just to clean up and make it easier for the public and to understand it.
Yeah, it's for the developers. It's for condos in Terra Vesta primarily. Right now, they could have up to 70% of lot coverage, and we're just bumping that up to 80% of lot coverage. There's two different areas of Smart Code, and the section kind of along what I call New Lacey Road is one. The Terra Vesta plot's the second one. And the part by the Lacey Road, New Lacey Road, you already can do that. There is no change in terms of requirement for sewer and water and being able to, you still need to take care of all of that. Sorry, it sounds like people are having a little hard time listening. It's raining right now, and as you know, this room gets a little bit loud. It's not as bad as a Genie ceiling room, but sorry for that piece there. But in essence, this is to have those zero lot line condos and being able to cover a little bit more of the ground on that lot, but they still have all the requirements for like storm water and that type of stuff. Yeah, go ahead, Gabrielle.
So the memo that's right after the ordinance change, it talks a lot about the stormwater analysis doesn't change in the Terra Vesta plats, given the change in the ordinance. Is that something that could potentially be a problem in other plots in other parts of the city if we change this ordinance, like blanket change across the city?
No, because this is smart code, and there's only 2 areas in the city that are smart code. There are requirements for the other parts of the city that we still have that, and that's still obviously a huge issue for us throughout the city. But this is only in that smart code district out in Terra Vista. Yeah, Julia.
Yeah, it was a similar question that Gabriela has. When I was reading this and I was reading the engineer memo, one of my question is, in the future when we have more smart code development, is this one is gonna be more expensive because they need to improve the stormwater system? They need to, if we are increasing the impervious, portion. So I think the stormwater system need to be adjusted. So that one is going to affect the cost in the future for future development.
Actually, it won't. They still, because even the change from 70 to 80%, they still have to have the same restrictions in taking care of their stormwater. This is actually hopefully make these cheaper because you can put a bigger house on that lot, and so you don't have as much. I don't want to say unused space. I guess would be more than anything else. The idea is that they can have a little bit smaller lot, but still have the same size house by doing this, which then if you can reduce the cost of the land for that lot, then the cost of the house actually goes down as well. So the idea and the hope is that this actually makes it more affordable to build condos in this neighborhood. Further questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Anything else for plan, Tom?
Not at this point.
All right, Public Works, Sarah, do you want to do this one?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve Resolution R9820, authorizing acceptance of the 2020 chip sealing program.
A second.
Seconded by Julia. Did Public Works approve?
We did.
Did Finance approve?
Yes, we approve.
All right, do you want to speak to this, Sarah?
Sure. So chip sealing is within the annual budgeted maintenance projects, and it provides a protective surface treatment. It's usually done on roads that are in a better shape just because it is preventative. So it's roads that are considered fair to good condition. We received 2 quotes. Both were under the city engineer's estimate. So Public Works is suggesting to go with the lowest quote with a $3,000 in contingency fund, and this is for the bid.
Yep, I know it adds a lot of life to the use of the roads, and as you can see, based on the construction going on, not only is it inconvenient when the roads are in construction, it's expensive. So if we can get more years out of our roads by doing this, that's a great thing. Other questions at all? Tom?
Sarah, were the neighbors, where the chip sealing is going to occur, were neighbors notified? This is a messy situation as well. I know it prevents the roads, but it can be brought into carpets, vinyl. I've experienced in the past years in Fitchburg, this is a mess. Do you know if the neighbors were notified that this is coming?
The streets were posted. I don't believe the neighbors were notified individually. I did ask that question in the Public Works meeting, and I was assured that residents can still use the road, that it doesn't prevent usage. But yes, you're right, that it is a slurry that's applied to the roadways, so it could potentially be a little messy. But as far as I'm aware, which Pat, please correct me if I'm wrong, but that it was just the streets were posted, but unique notifications were not sent out.
Yeah, that's correct. They do post, they'll put up the stick and signs on the side of the road. I know in the past we have done door hangers just prior to the work, and I'll check with Mike to see if we're doing that again this year.
I can just tell you, every phone in the city will ring once that starts. Because that's tar, and that tar goes into homes on white carpet, on white vinyl, and it shows up like nothing. So I'm just giving you a quick warning. The door hangers are good, I'm for it, that gives them kind of a heads up. They can maybe cover their entryways or whatever they have to do.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah, we'll look into that. I'll look into it and get back to you.
Is there a way we can put it maybe on the website somewhere?
Yeah, definitely. All of our construction projects go up on the website. We'll make sure we put this up right before they do the work.
Yeah. Social media too.
Yep.
Great. All right. Anything else? All right. We'll go to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay.
Aye.
All right. That is approved. Next one, Sarah.
Make a motion to approve resolution R 9920, approving a public sidewalk easement and public utility easements adjacent to the 2019 Uptown Improvements Project.
Second.
Seconded by
Second.
Randy. Did Public Works approve?
Yes.
And Planning Commission approved as well. Go ahead, Sarah. Explain this one for us.
So this one is part of the 2019 Uptown Improvements Project where 6-foot easements are required. There's some sidewalk easements, some transformer easements, and utility easements on lots 1, 2, 10, and 33. The maps are available in the packet, but it is just mostly easements required based on utility usage or sidewalks within Uptown.
And Sarah, do you know, by approving these, does this mean that people can start moving into that neighborhood?
I'm unsure, sorry.
Oh, Uptown. Sorry, never mind. This is Uptown, not Terravasa. Yep. Okay. But this is one of the steps to getting those neighborhoods finished, I guess, if you will. All right. Questions at all?
So what I like about this is there is no cost for the city.
Yep. That's a good thing as well. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right. Everyone likes no extra cost. I like it. All right. Next one, Sarah.
Yeah, make a motion to approve R 100-20, approving a design contract with KL Engineering for the design of the County McCoy intersection and signal improvements.
Second.
All right. Did Public Works approve?
Yes.
And did Finance approve?
Yes.
All right. What's this one about, Sarah?
So this is the intersection of and McCoy, and I know we've heard from a variety of people that there's just an increase in traffic and accidents, and it's we'd like to pursue traffic signals that they've been warranted for the intersection, and were included within the capital improvement plan with future plan date. A highway safety improvement grant was awarded, and it will pay 90% of the construction costs associated with the safety improvements. This is for the design contract, which we'd like to award to KL Engineering, as they are very familiar with the project. The work is not estimated to exceed $106,795, and the county and the city will split the costs, with the county paying 67% and the city paying 33%.
All right. Yeah, so I know we got a bunch of money for this, so even better than that costing us anything extra, we're actually getting more money for this to make it an even safer road than originally planned. Unfortunately, it won't be until next year instead of this year, but it's a necessary improvement to that intersection. But yeah, Gabrielle.
Yeah, I was just over there this past weekend, and that intersection's not great. So I'm really happy to hear that we're moving forward on this. I also am curious if there's been talk. I assume that there could potentially be more development in that area over time. Is that part of the rationale behind doing this now, or is this it's just completely a safety concern?
The biggest thing is safety. There's some development in that area. So, I think we see, especially with the school going in up the road, we just think that there will be more in general. And yeah, I mean, trying to make it safe as possible. I know as part of the improvements is also improving the safety of the Capital City Trail crossing right there as well. And so that will be a lot safer as part of this as well. And that's a big thing. As someone who bikes that quite a bit, I don't feel very safe sometimes. Joe.
As a cyclist, I fully endorse this.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right. That is approved. Anything else, Sarah, you want to report
Nothing
on?
else for works, nope.
All right. Well, then let's go to Park Commission. What do you got for parks for us?
We have not met for parks. The next meeting is June 4th, but we did have some new signs posted in Corey Hill and Swan Creek parks, reminding neighbors to have their pets leashed. But otherwise, the Sunnyside Dog Park has opened up, so I'm hopeful residents are not experiencing that as often as they were. That's it.
Excellent. All right, library board, Randy?
We have not met, nothing to report.
All right, I know that you have one that's coming up, so we'll have one soon. All right, Commission on Aging, well, Dorothy.
Just keeping on. Same.
All right, RCC, Gabriella?
Next meeting will be June 15th.
All right, what about transportation and transit?
No meeting scheduled currently.
All right, CETA, Julia?
1 second. Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we met today, this morning at 10:30, because we have a very important resolution that we discussed most of the meeting. Resolution that is coming to you soon is the 108-20. So this resolution is about the new use some money from the revolving loan that the city has to convert to another program to help the small business in Fitchburg that they are struggling now because of COVID. And this is, I want to thank Mike and Joyce because it was, I think as a Patrick March mentioned, it was an idea coming from staff, how to use these funds and to help our businesses here in Fitchburg. So Mike is I think Mike is gonna explain that when it's time for the resolution. But, and also we review the tax room report for the first quarter. It came very similar to last year, but we need to remember that the second quarter tax room report is gonna be comparatively low to last year because, COVID affected our hotel occupancy. So, but we spent most of our meeting discussing the resolution because we went through the material, we made some changes. You saw those changes coming through the package that we updated today, this afternoon. Jamie sent you an email. I hope you had the opportunity to take a look at those changes that we made in the CEDA meeting. And then we can discuss that resolution soon, but that's it.
All right. Joe, anything you want to add? I know you're on CETA as well.
No,
she covered it well.
Okay,
Oh, Joe, okay, yeah.
Yep.
great. All right, Ag and Rural Affairs, Randy?
No, we don't have anything scheduled, nothing to report.
All right. EMS, Shannon?
Things to report. So there's some good news. They had 0 people with COVID as far as EMS was concerned. They have less respiratory calls now. They're kind of back to doing the chest pain and all that good stuff. And there was a COVID-19 stimulus fund. So we're hoping to get 3 vents for the ambulance, which would be really nice. And if we're not in need, we can, the hospitals need them, we can also loan them out. So that's what I have for EMS. Next meeting is June 18th at 7 p.m.
All right, great. Bicycle Committee, Joe?
We're meeting in June, the end of June, but I'll say while we're still in May, it's Bike Month. And the Love to Ride Madison will be encouraging people to, step up their ridership. So if you ride a little bit, ride some more. If you ride a lot more. If you would like to be a part of the National Bike Challenge, you can join the challenge by going to https://lovetoride.net/Madison and sign up for a team. Also, the Free Bikes for Kids is offering free bikes on June 6th to any essential workers. That includes, healthcare workers, grocery store employees, anybody that sort of falls under that category that's been working during COVID. If you are interested, check out their website and get in touch with their executive director, Christy Schilling.
All right, thank you. Tree advisory.
We are meeting in September.
All right. Landmarks preservation. Nothing scheduled. All right. Dorothy, census complete count.
Just waiting to get back on track with the census.
Do you know what we're at for response?
I'm not entirely certain. I think we're in range with the county, a little bit better than most of the state. I think it's in the like 68% or so.
Okay. Sounds good. What about housing advisory?
Nothing new with that. And H&I, I'd still like to get in this list, and there's also nothing new with that.
All right. Sounds good. Moving along to finance. Julia.
Yes, today in finance, we have the audit presentation from Baker Tilly, and it was nice to hear that there was no concern in the audit. The Misty and the finance team at the city are doing a great job. So it was according to the auditors, it was they didn't find any concern. The reports showed a healthy financial for the city of Fitchburg. So it was good to hear that. I would recommend you to my fellow alder, take a look at the report, because it's not only about numbers, there are very good graphics. So you can understand some of the, that is going to be very helpful for you when we are going now through the CIP plan, the process. So take a look at the financial, take a look at the graph. There is a good narrative there about the city. So it's what it took kind of half of the meeting going through the audit report, but it was a good exercise. And then we approved the detailed bills of all check issued, check number 120801-120878, dated May 1st, 2020 to May 15, 2020, totaling $189,158.88, and also we review the P card transaction for the cycle ending April 6, 2020, totaling $91,870.65. Also, I want to invite all my fellow alders on June 8th, Monday, June 8th, is going to be the CIP presentation to the finance meeting committee. But so for all the heads of the department, but I will invite all of you to attend this meeting, because it's going to be a good exercise before you go in to review the CIP plan and to make any amendment. So that one is an invitation for June 8th. I don't remember the time. I think it's usually 7 o'clock. I don't know, but
6.
I don't know. Yeah, so
6 o'clock.
6:37. But I will invite you to participate in a good exercise, especially for the new council members. And then we review a couple of resolutions, but they're coming.
All right, and it's at 6 o'clock, actually.
6 o'clock? Okay.
Yep. All right, Personnel Committee, Dorothy.
We'll have a meeting tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
All right, Public Safety, Sarah.
No report. We have not met.
All right, I believe you're meeting in a couple weeks for the first time in a while for some liquor licenses. All right, then going on to Mayor's report, I've got a number of things. Julia mentioned the CIP. You got that on Friday, and so that's out on the website as well, and you'll learn more during presentations and the meeting Julia talked about. Just kind of, I think I mentioned this at last meeting, I had to cut $800,000 in next year's budget and $1.5 million from what was requested over the next 5 years. So, there's no pet projects or anything like that in there. It's really just trying to keep doing our basic stuff, like provide equipment for our employees and, things that can help plow streets and We may provide emergency services and those types of things. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me as you look through that, especially if you're newer. It's a complicated document. Funding is probably the biggest thing, and Misty will talk about this tomorrow, I'm guessing, as well, and where's that money coming from, and that's a big thing to look for as well. Otherwise, a few other things. Thursday, I am going to do a call with the chamber, Fitchburg Chamber. We're going to talk about a couple of things we're talking about tonight, actually, and just giving an update to the business community. I think anyone's welcome to join and listen to that. They will be recording it, I believe, as well. They did that a couple weeks ago and had good response. And I believe Pat's on there, Chief Pulvermacher, and so there'll be some updates on that as well. Next week is the start of Pride Month, and last year was the first time that we had recognized Pride Month, and we're doing that again this year. We'll do a proclamation at our next meeting. It's always a little weird. Do you do it before the month starts, in the month? I'm going to do it next week, but on the 1st, we are going to raise the pride flag in front of City Hall, and that's actually the first time that we've done that as well. We're going to do that at 9 o'clock in the morning. We're not promoting it a whole lot because of COVID. We're not trying to get a huge crowd there, but you are welcome to come if you'd like. And so we'll do that at 9 o'clock and take a photo or two, so feel free to do that, but I'll look for that in a week here. I believe we talked a little bit about this. Starting July 6th, we are planning to open City Hall in the mornings only. We're looking at probably 8 to noon. Talking with other cities throughout the area, that's kind of when they're looking at starting to open. Still, everything's available by appointment, and we still have all the services available. You can do anything. You know, business has been running really smooth, but we're really looking at least opening half days starting July 6th at this point in time. For things like the library and senior center, we're really waiting on the county for help on that, especially the senior center, which has a very vulnerable population. We don't want to open that too soon. They are starting to provide more services through one-on-one appointments, but we are going to take kind of the lead or the direction from other people. Something like the fire station, it'll be up to Chief Pulvermacher. I don't see opening that to the public anytime soon because we don't want to expose those firefighters to COVID if we can help that. And, today, kind of along that same lines, phase 1 started in Dane County. So you can start going to restaurants. They're reduced capacity, but we're talking about something that will hopefully help some of the Fitchburg restaurants for that. As of right now, we're looking good to open and to move into phase 2 in 2 weeks. That you have to wait 2 weeks, but based on where we're at right now in metrics, we will open in 2 weeks into phase 2. We're kind of moving to phase 2, but we have 2 weeks to see where the numbers go. So it's possible that some of those numbers that are already good enough to go to phase 2 might drop down, so we can't, but hopefully that continues as well. And then the last thing I want to talk about is I've been talking with Wendy, who's the head of our library and Fact TV, about once a week, at least through the summer, having someone read a children's book and providing that on the library's website. And so people can have their kids watch that. You've maybe seen this with other people as well. I'm going to be doing the first one, recording that this week and release it next week. We're going to release one a week. But if that's something that any of you would be interested in doing for a week, please send me a message. We also open that up to send it out to department heads, but I'm sure there's some other people like Officer John and Drago, I would imagine, are probably going to do one. Everyone loves Drago, so I'm sure people would love to see him do that. I don't think Drago can read, so John will do the reading for him, but that is something that I thought might be kind of a neat thing to do for the community and give parents something for maybe their kids to kind of listen or read as well. So if you're interested, please let me know if you have any interest in that. And that's all I have for my report. So we can go to all the reports then. And I'll start online and start in District 1. Dorothy.
Thank you. I was informed today that I have been graduated from the Citizen MPO Commission to the regular MPO Commission, which is going to be meeting on the 3rd, so I'll be able to report out what's happening with area-wide transportation issues. That meeting ends up being the same time as a Jamestown Neighborhood Association meeting on June 3rd, where they're going to be talking about a development proposal at Wingra Quarry. Fact TV is going to record that for us, mostly so I can watch it later. But other people will be able to find out what's being proposed at the Wingra site. That's on McKee Road, just west of Verona Road. It is.
And for those of you who haven't heard, it's Myers that is looking to open a location on that site.
And some outbuilding stores as well.
Yep. All right. Anything else, Dorothy?
I think that's it. Thanks.
All right, Joe.
I'll be at the Jamestown meeting too, so I can, make sure to have a presence. Nothing big to report. In the schools, there is going to be a search moving forward for the Verona School District Superintendent. Savannah Oaks also has hired a new principal, Paris Eccles, who will start next year. And apart from sort of things that I mentioned before, I don't have any additional updates for the district.
All right, thank you. Julia.
So what I want to mention is we have a couple of concerned neighbors about the intersection of Seminole Highway and PD. They are concerned about the removal of the tree and the lack of privacy for the Seminole Village, some of the condo that the back goes to the Seminole. So there were a lot of, chatting also in next door and some misinformation there. So I want to explain to the Seminole, the people that they ask for the information that we are making a safer intersection is part of the PD reconstruction from Seminole Highway to Commerce Park. So if someone wants to know more about this or they want to see the design, please email me or call me. I will be happy to share the information. And also, I want to mention that there is the new school called Milestone Democratic School is coming to Fitchburg. It's going to be open on August 2020. It's going to be a high school. So, so if you have teenagers that they don't fit any of the other school district, this is an opportunity. They are now enrolling. This one is the school that is going to be located in Index Road. So we are welcoming this school. So now Fitchburg, can we say that we have a high school? So what else? The other thing that I am concerned is about, I have seen that in the shelter in McKee Farm Park, there are a lot of big gathering of people. They are not wearing masks. There are no social distancing. So this is something that concerns me. I walk the park every other day. So I don't know if we need to add more signs on the shelter and say that they need to keep, now with phase one going out, I know that gathering of 50 people are okay, but it was a concern that I had, especially last week. I saw a couple of big gathering, especially young people, and I understand, so I don't know how they leave the shelter condition after they having this party without using the bathroom, and so maybe something that concerns me how how to keep the maintenance of this shelter when we are not renting them and how people are using it anyway, and so that's it.
All right, thank you. Sarah, let's get everyone online first.
For District 3, I don't have a report this week, but Julia, thanks for the feedback on McKee. I can definitely take that to Parks and see if there's any feedback on the shelter and if there have been any concerns about the condition it is in.
Oh, yes, can I ask something to Sarah?
Sure. Yep. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I forgot to mention, because you're in Parks, do you know if they are gonna replant some of the trees that they removed in Seminole Highway? If you can find out about that, if it is, okay?
I can find out. I don't recall hearing anything about that, but before I commit, let me do some research and get back to you.
Okay.
If
Yeah,
you're
thank
talking around the retention pond at the intersection of Seminole and McKee, yeah, they are going to do plantings to replace some of the trees that were cut down. Yep, it's going to take a while. Those are pretty nice, big, mature trees, obviously, but they are
Yeah, I
doing
know,
that.
but yeah.
Anything else, Sarah?
Nope, nothing else.
All right, we'll go in the room. Gabriella?
A couple of things from me. Number one, I just wanted to reiterate, thanks, Mayor Richardson, for talking about the Forward Dane Phase 1 plan. I would encourage everyone to go to the Public Health Madison and Dane County website or the Facebook page and just read through what the Phase 1 plan looks like so people have a sense. Walking around and driving around this weekend, I just saw so many people together having barbecues, chatting, and it just seemed to me like everyone, now that there's this we're available, we can go out again, things are opening again. I think there's a desire to just go back to normal, and we need to be really vigilant to keep in mind that we really need to be careful about overdoing it and creating a resurgence of the virus. So I would encourage everyone to go on there and read about the different metrics and definitely even though gatherings are allowed, you should still be physically distancing from people that are not in your household. So keep that in mind. And then also I started my email newsletter. You can sign up for that either by emailing me at my city account, or you can go to my website, gabrielagerhart.com, and I'll be doing kind of highlights from each meeting at a few days after the meetings pass. So thank you so much.
All right. Shannon, no report. All right. Tom?
I guess I want to give a shout out to the staff in reference to fire, police, EMS, going around with, I did bring that up, neighborhoods, getting people outside. They hit Wildwood South and other areas of the city too. And I think it's worked out great. I haven't seen everybody come out, but my neighborhood, they were very appreciative. I had a relative that lives in District 1 who brought to my attention, and instead of bringing it up to Joe and Dorothy, I'll just give it to you right now. It has to do with Raymond Road, right by Hartley there. What happened is the city of Madison knocked up the road to, I believe it was to repair a water main or something similar. And the amount of money that we spent to get that road fixed in conjunction with the city. Right now, Pat, there's a swale that they didn't do a very good job. They just threw some asphalt in there and drove away. My concern is that it's going to sink. And if we just send the city a letter, and Joe and Dorothy, you can go over and take a look where I'm talking. You can't miss it. They just want to maybe have the city come back and redo it. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Pat, did you have a comment?
They do that as a temporary measure. They'll put that asphalt down, and then they'll contract with actually street crew to come in, put the appropriate base and surface down. So that will be done. I did notice that also it's not in great shape.
Okay.
Is that next to the church?
There's a church in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
right there in the church. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's only like basically a block of Raymond Road that
Yeah.
Fitchburg.
Yep, exactly. And it wasn't looking very good, so it was good that we were able to partner with Madison to redo that when they were doing some other work there.
For new council members, what happened is the city of Madison was doing Raymond Road, and they asked us to do our section. And it was a great deal of money to do our section over there. It's like 3 blocks up, I get you. But I was concerned that they were not coming back.
Yeah, they should be back. I'll get a schedule on that for you guys.
That's fine. That's fine. The other thing, I do have a question I should have asked during your CETA presentation, Julie, is my fault. I have a question for you about CETA. It has to do with the healthy neighborhood, and it has to do with the city coming up with 15,000, whatever it was, an X amount of dollars, I believe it was around 15,000. And United Way was supposed to match it, and they didn't do that. How are we handling that?
I don't know if Dorothy or Julia, do you know?
Can you repeat the last part of the question?
Yeah, the question was with United Way, we had done that program where they were supposed to get $15,000 to match what we had donated towards that program. And were they able to raise that $15,000 to match? Are they still trying to raise that? Maybe they haven't even started the program. I'm not exactly sure, but do you know where that's at?
Yeah, they tried to do it, but they raised only $3,000 before COVID, and then we talked to the people in our last meeting. It was at the beginning of March for the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative. One of the person from United Way was part of the meeting, and we discussed what we should do to what happened. And I think that it was a pilot. They didn't do too much outreach. The recommendation that the Healthy Neighborhood Initiative team asked United Way is that we want to be part of the campaign. That we should be, I think we are going to be more successful if our fund is part of the United Way campaign. When we are one of the organization of funds, I think that one they are going to try to consider that. We haven't heard from them. We are having a Healthy Neighborhood Initiative meeting on June or July. This is our next meeting. And then we are going to follow up with Way to see what is the final resolution from United Way, because the recommendation that we ask is that, in order to be successful, I think we need to be part of your annual campaign. So now is they need to determine if something feasible or not. If they can do it.
Okay.
What?
Go ahead, Tom.
Julie, the thing is if the city comes up with 15,000, that's quite a bit of money. And especially at these times we're in before COVID, even before that happened. And now United Way is supposed to come up with 15,000. They came up with 3. And if you bring that up at the next CETA meeting and come back and tell us what's going on, no, I'm fine with that. All I'm saying is that's pretty much a great shortfall of what we expected from United Way. And if you're going to have them come to the next meeting and report back to us, that's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, we are planning to report with Dorothy after our Healthy Neighborhood Initiative meeting because,
Great.
now the balloon is at the United Way. So we need to wait for them, and then, but we are not going to use our $15,000 until, first of all, we have more funds from them, and then, so we haven't determined yet how we are going to use it, in which I think it's going to be youth related, but we haven't finalized that yet. So I don't know, Dorothy, do I have something that I missed?
Sounds like more to come.
It's intended to be used for youth up in the northern sections of the city, the kids that are having issues with police and jail and all that. So hopefully we can get something going with it. I get the sense that we're probably going to have to do some promotion ourselves if we want United Way to finish their match.
Okay. Anything else, Tom? All right. Thanks for mentioning the Friday Night Lights. I forgot to mention that. And thanks for the fire department, police department, EMS for doing that. I know they went through Swan Creek this last Friday too. So I think there's probably more coming. We'll be promoting that on Facebook and stuff if there is more. So, Randy.
Nothing to report other than my friendly reminder to slow it down out there on McKee Road and Fish Hatchery. Neighbors have mentioned something again. This past weekend, I was out working in the yard, and it seemed to be a hot subject. So,
Yep.
but it's safety for those that are working out there. Yeah.
Yep. Great.
And I look forward to the meeting with the library. You mentioned you had a date, so I'm assuming that'll take place soon.
Yeah, it's in June. I can't.
Yeah,
Wendy just
that's
emailed
all right.
us
I'll
about
touch
this
base with
today.
Wendy.
Yeah, you'll get it soon.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. All right, there's no unfinished business. New business. First up is one of the two items we're going to be talking about to help out our business committee, and this is a temporary expanded premise description. This is something that Mike and Joyce brought forward. I've been working with them, and something I want to kind of talk with all of you about and discuss a little bit. As you know, today we started in phase 1, and so restaurants can open at 25% capacity. And what we've heard from some bars and restaurants is that, that's not really something that might be enough for them to keep, to really do that. They might, say, hey, it's too expensive for us to open at 25%, and so we're not going to open right now. And this will enable them to temporarily, and we're proposing through Labor Day, have the ability to expand their outdoor seating area. Some places do have outdoor seating right now, but this would enable them to increase that. We would not charge them a fee to do this, but with the understanding and expectation that this is only through Labor Day weekend. If someone wants to do a broader, permanent outside area, they have to go through the regular process, and they'll still have to do that. I know Funk's Pub is actually talking about that. That's something different. This is really enabling them, and as part of this, they will submit their information, and we'll have staff look at that, and building inspection and fire department and zoning to make sure that what they're doing, they still have access for disabled parking and sidewalks, all those types of things. We still need to have all that, but depending on the location, they might take away some parking stalls, or maybe I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but it is something that we want to provide for those people. As part of this, we are asking for the first round of applications to come in here pretty quick. And Mike can speak to this a little bit further, but what I'm hoping is that this council has to approve those temporary description changes, and hoping that we could do a special council meeting next Tuesday. We'll send out something on the time. We're open on time. I don't think it'll take very long, but it's something that we do have to approve, and staff will have already looked at it at that point in time. But to enable these businesses to open an expanded outdoor seating area as soon as possible, it'd be nice if we could do a special meeting next Tuesday. And then for those who don't meet that first deadline, they can still submit, and then the week later, we'll have our regular council meeting, and we can approve any additional ones at that point in time. I did talk with Sarah, because she's the chair of Public Safety Committee, and typically these would go there as well, but next week, we wouldn't have that one, have them look at it. Those 3 people are all on council, so everyone on public safety can weigh in anyway. For those who don't make it the first deadline, the second deadline, it will go to public safety and regular protocol from there. Mike, do you want to say more about this?
Sure. Yeah, as you know, and thanks, Mayor, the restaurants have been probably one of the most hard-hit businesses. They adapted very quickly to do pickup and delivery, and I think have been doing an admirable job. I know we've been ordering from City Hall here at various establishments and picking up fish fries on Friday and everything. So that's helping, to generate some cash flow for them. But even opening at 25% that they can start to do today is not a profitable level, for them. So we were brainstorming with our colleagues at the Fitchburg Chamber Visitor Business Bureau. They've been staying in regular contact with our businesses throughout the COVID crisis. And we've even got what we call a Fitchburg recovery team talking about how can we kind of work with our businesses and help them with the reopen and the relaunch. And 2 of the items on your agenda tonight, the premise extension and also the revolving loan fund, kind of flow from those discussions with our colleagues there, as well as Joyce in my office and everything. So what we're proposing is, exactly what the mayor talked about, to offer that option to businesses. Some of it is dependent location, depending on maybe if they've got some extra outdoor area that they could extend into. Maybe there's more of a State Street type experience where somebody's got some additional patio space where they could, put some tables and have some fencing around, or the chain link kind of theater-style fencing, or theater-style fencing that kind of goes around it and everything. So we've been working with Tracy. She did a great job on putting together an application. We've been talking to our colleagues in building inspection, police, fire, legal, and today we checked in with planning just to kind of make sure we got all the i's dotted and the t's crossed. And what we'd like to do is have a deadline of next week, Monday, for that first wave of applications to come in. What we would do then is have the city staff team of the departments that I just referenced kind of look at them from a 30,000-foot level to say, okay, this business wants to do this here, and then those would be the applications that we would bring to that special council meeting on Tuesday night. And council would authorize, or conditionally authorize those, but they would be contingent upon the final permit of a site visit by one of our team members to actually look at what they're doing on the ground there with their respective areas, just to make sure, again, everything's in order that we need to have in place. And we've got some helpful guidelines that we're going to include when we, hopefully if you support this tonight, to kind of push this out to our businesses to help them complete their application so they come in very thorough. And then our staff team will review those and bring those to you next week, Tuesday.
One thing I didn't mention is that we are not allowing them to have amplified sound either. So that's something that was a concern for anyone that lives close to any of these establishments, is that it might get really loud if they were allowed to do music or play the radio or something like that. So we're not allowing them to have any additional amplified sound. So that's a big piece of it as well, looking out for the people that might live close to those.
The reason to accelerate it is, of course, the most benefit is on the front end when they're at 25%. And that additional cash flow, might help some of these businesses, determine their future there. So anything that we can do to bring forward a program like this, I think, we're not sure how many people will take advantage of it, but we at least would like to be able to offer it as an option to our Fitchburg businesses. And what I would do is, if there is support tonight, we would push it out tomorrow with our Fitchburg Chamber colleagues to get the information out to them along with these guidelines in the application, and then hopefully get a quick turnaround of the folks that are looking at the first round.
Valerie, is there anything that you want to add, maybe that we missed or that you wanted to highlight?
Yes, I would just mention that I think this is a somewhat unprecedented, kind of a broad program, but it's aimed at addressing an unprecedented condition. And so the way that we have it structured is to essentially potentially grant these temporary changes of premises that will automatically expire. I want to highlight the point that the change will automatically go back to what the premise description was before this application. So it's meant to be a short-term, temporary change that's going to automatically revert back.
All right. I don't know if Julia or Joel, you want to talk about the CETA perspective. I know you talked about it earlier today, and then after they're done, Dorothy, I saw your hand up, so I can call you after that.
So yeah, we discussed it today a little bit at the end of the meeting, and I think this is the consensus was that this is a good idea.
All right. Julia, anything you want to add? No? All right. Dorothy, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I was going to ask about fences. I'm glad that Mike had mentioned that. I know in the regular permits that we often issue, we require fencing if there's going to be alcohol served. My question, I'm going to have forgotten it. Why do we want full council special meeting rather than just public safety meeting to approve even just the initial round?
The council has to, unfortunately, by, I believe it's ordinance.
By state, Valerie checked on that, and it's the governing body.
Yeah.
Okay.
It shouldn't be a long
It's
meeting.
the council that grants the license, public safety makes the recommendation. Well, if one or the other meets, it would have to be the council.
Okay, thank you.
Other thoughts, concerns, questions? at all, Gabriella?
So what action are we taking at this meeting? I mean, I'm happy to meet next week. I think that's great, and I'm excited that you all are coming up with some creative ideas for how to support our businesses. So is that just like we just plan to meet next week and talk about it more, or?
So I think tonight it's kind of, yeah, we like this, we want to go ahead with this program, and then we'll go through, promote it to everyone, and then next week we'll approve the premise changes for those who've applied by Monday. And then if there's people that miss the deadline the next week during the regular council meeting, we can do others. But it's really just kind of getting more of a, I don't want to say a straw poll, but just kind of an okay from all of you that you don't have any concerns, questions, that you're cool with going ahead with this. So,
Yeah, and if I just may add, this isn't noticed on the agenda as an action item, so this really is the purpose of this, is just to have the discussion. The council will be reviewing each application and taking action on each one of those once those are received.
yeah. Shin?
So it's just for this, for next week, that's it, right? Or is it other agendas on there?
For this will,
Yeah,
sorry. Wow. This will be the only thing that we talk about at the next week. Yeah, it's not a full meeting agenda or anything like that. It's just for this next week. Yeah, Julia. Oh, we can't hear you.
Do you know how many food and services, do we have in the city of Fitchburg that they're going to be, included or favored for this resolution?
The email that will blast out will be 30-plus of them. We're not sure what to expect back. That'll be kind of individual based on their own kind of site. And we said there's some considerations they have to make. They have to decide on their staffing levels and things like that. So some may decide, they're just going to kind of sit and wait even until their interior occupancy gets to 50 or 75% before they decide to really ramp up. So it's going to be just some individual, decisions that they have to make and evaluate. But we thought we should at least provide this option, for them to help them ramp up more quickly.
Yeah, and there's places like Quivy's Grove that already is approved to have a pretty extensive outdoor area, so they don't need to come and get a special permit. So there are some places that have maybe enough outside area.
But Quivy's is thinking exactly how this is proposed. How do they maximize that outdoor area and the use of it to compensate for being at only 25% indoor occupancy right now?
Yeah. Yep. Tom?
Did I hear you right, Mike, that the businesses then would be able to use outdoor and have more seating then? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, it would be beyond what maybe they already have licensed outside.
Yeah.
Some of them already have, outdoor seating areas or, gardens there. And this would be in addition to that to try and help them kind of compensate for the restriction of the indoor occupancy being at 25% right now. If they've got some areas where where it makes sense to do that.
I missed that
in their
number.
individual
So
premise.
they can use an outdoor area, which give them more seating. Is there a certain number? Was there a number associated to that?
Oh, they're restricted, right now to 25% occupancy. So it's trying to help them, get more occupancy than they have right now by kind of extending temporarily.
That's what I'm
and
saying, it's
expanding that
25
premise
plus? Am I thinking right? It's 25?
to get them some additional capacity.
To get some more. And I think that we really have to look at these businesses. They have families, they have kids, they have all the above. And we don't want what's going on in Racine County and Kenosha. Did you hear about that? Racine County is real restricted, and Kenosha is open. So people are leaving Racine and going to Kenosha, literally. And the businesses are just getting killed. So, no, I commend you. It's something we have to do to help these businesses. It's about Fitchburg. There it is. It's all about Fitchburg. There it is, right there. And if they want to have a few more people, bring it. I'll sign it.
And in the guidelines here, the last item there is going back to Gabriella's comment. There is, we just mentioned again that it needs to follow Dane County health protocols, forward Dane, and the WEDC guidelines. So there's still, the social distancing should still be taking place. The, households, and things like that. So it's still, encouraging people, not encouraging, but requiring people to follow those health guidelines too.
Julia, I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, my question is this resolution is or this initiative is gonna include a hotel? Some of our hotel, they have restaurant inside. So, is this, have you, thought about this?
I have to say, we haven't thought about the hotels. I know Tuscany is closed right
Okay.
now, and I'm not sure exactly when they're planning to open that. And the Wyndham Hawthorne Suites doesn't have a restaurant in there. And then over at the Staybridge Suites, they just offer the hot breakfast and the beverages in the evening, but they don't really have an on-site, restaurant. So I don't know if it's really applicable for them.
No, I was
Be able
thinking
to
more
do
about
something.
Tuscany, you know what I mean? Because that one is inside the hotel, so.
Yeah. I'm not sure, Julia. We can check with them and find out. They'll receive the information, as far as the application and the process there. But I know when I talked to the management over there and the ownership, they had shut that down, I think, just completely for a while. So I'm not sure when they're going to even reopen or ramp up.
Shannon.
So is this mainly just for people that already had the outdoor space to begin with? Or does this have to, so this is pretty much any restaurant, even if you didn't have outdoor, that you just, okay.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
wanted to
one in my
clarify.
neighborhood, and I'm not sure if they, would look to submit an application, but I live above Tapatio's and, Soho Noodles, there. And there's some really good outdoor sidewalk, space undercover and everything, where you could see them, if they're restricted at 25%, wanting to be more of like a State Street experience where you put some tables out front, again, you have some fencing around it and stuff like that, and that would help them kind of ramp up more quickly and could work for them, work for us, and just be good for our businesses and also good for our residents, Fitchburg.
Yeah, Julia.
Yeah, regarding the fencing, so I imagine that we are talking about some, portable fencing. We are not gonna expect to have
Correct.
fencing that you need to make a hole in the floor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
okay.
Yep. All right. Anyone else? I'm not hearing any concerns or anything like that. All right. So it sounds like people are good with moving forward with that, and we'll figure out a time next week to do the approvals. And I see you, Julia. All right, one more.
What about Hy-Vee? Hy-Vee has a restaurant, so it's gonna apply for Hy-Vee too?
Yeah, they could. They've got an alcohol license in a restaurant,
Okay.
there, so they could.
Yep. All right. So it looks like we'll kind of let the bars, restaurants know about this tomorrow, and we'll figure out a time that we can have a special, which should be quick meeting next Tuesday, and we'll send something out to figure out a time where people are free. If people want to go earlier, we're sending a bunch of options, and we'll figure out some way for people to respond and figure out if people can meet at 5 or 7 or 10 p.m. No, that's not. We won't do that to you. All right, then we can go ahead to the
Thanks,
next
everybody.
item. Thank you. All right, next thing is update and discussion on the 2020 elections. This is something, I know there's been a lot of questions about this, and this is a topic that I'm going to continue having on the agenda. Probably every meeting that we won't always have more information for you, but I know that people have a lot of questions and looking for a lot of information about this, and so I want to give you an update on some of the things that have been happening. I know that last week the Election Commission met, and one of the things they're talking about and discussing right now is sending everyone in Wisconsin the information to register to get a ballot sent to you. That's something that we've talked about a little bit here as well. Last week they were tied 3-3. I don't know when they're meeting this week. Tracy will give us some information in a second on that. So that might be something that's happening statewide. But if they don't do that statewide, the county has actually talked about doing that just for Dane County then, if there's not a broader state piece to that. So we do have that as an option, and I'll let Tracy kind of speak to, I don't know if they met today again or sometime this week they're meeting again.
I wish I had more information for you. They did meet last week on the 20th, and they are going to reconvene tomorrow. I don't have a time. They didn't give us a time for that. But they did approve authorizing the expensive for sanitation supplies and personal protective equipment for the August and November elections. The problem that I think they were facing with the absentee ballot request application, there was a little concern about people that had already had a request on file, maybe not sending it to them because they already do have a request on file. So I think that was kind of the holdup. But yeah, they are meeting tomorrow to discuss more about sending that information out along with voter education, explaining the absentee voting process. And there is also going to be discussion about revamping the absentee ballot envelope. That makes it easier for people to certify and have a witness signature and certification. And also, there was talk about updating a barcode on there so that people could actually track it through the mail easier, kind of like you can a package. So these are all kinds of things that they're looking at discussing tomorrow. I wish I had a time for you, but they didn't send that out in the memo to us, so.
And we already have quite a few people that have requested ballots for both those elections, absentee ballots mailed to them, don't we?
Yeah, just for the August election only, we've already got 4,098 absentee ballot requests on file. Just to kind of give you a little bit of perspective on those numbers, the 2018 August election, we had a 39% citywide turnout with total votes equaling 5,643, and 761 of those were absentees. In 2016, which is equivalent to the election that's coming up here in August, we had total votes of 3,892, with 548 of those being absentees. So we're already pretty much right at those numbers for August.
And I know that you've been promoting that on social media, and you said you've been getting a lot more requests after
Yes.
those types of things come out. The other question I had, or maybe thing for you, Tracy, I know based on previous turnout for the primary election and based on what you know on how many people already requested a ballot sent to them, I know you're looking at possibly having one polling station for everyone, and also because of the concern about just having enough poll workers. Do you want to speak to that?
Right, and this would just be for the August election only, just because of the numbers that I gave you. The turnout for 2018 for August was 38%. The turnout for 2016 was 25%. So it's not a high turnout election anyway. But we've already, like I said, we've already got just as many, if not more, absentee ballot application requests that we had in 2016. So it would be my recommendation to combine all polling locations just for August. I fear that there will be issues with being able to staff it properly for polling locations. And if we did hold it somewhere else, we'd make sure that we'd have proper social distancing and get notice out to people so that they'd know that their polling location had changed. For November, that would definitely not be an option. We would have all of our 4 polling locations open.
And I do like for the primary not having, by consolidating, you're also removing it from a working fire station. And I like that idea of protecting those firefighters that work in that and not bringing the public into that fire station and being able to do that. So I do like that idea. So that part of it is a piece of that as well.
Yeah.
Other things for now? I'm sure there's lots of questions. I've seen hands already. I've got Dorothy, Shannon, and Julia. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Yeah, for Tracy, can you check and see when you have your discussion tomorrow, whether it's possible to put together a system to get pictures of the voter IDs before the absentee ballot requests or whatever it is, so you can work on getting those IDs and not just selfies over the summer?
Yes, definitely. The Elections Commission did revamp the WisVote website now so that people, when they upload their photo ID, it goes directly into their voter record now, so we don't have to print out those photo IDs anymore and keep them on file. They're already on file with their record. But yeah, we're definitely promoting that they have a photo ID. If they don't already have a photo ID on file, that they know the difference between a photo ID and a selfie. Thank you, Dorothy.
All right, I got Shannon next, and then Julie after that. Go ahead, Shannon.
So I know when this last one, when we had to send in our ballots, do they still have the quarantine thing on there, or is that taken off? Or is that part of it? That's always
So
basically
that
on
is
there?
always there. The indefinitely confined option
Yeah,
is
because I
always
accidentally
been
clicked
there.
that and.
Yes, and that will always
Show
be
ID
there.
eventually.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, Julia.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So my question is, I couldn't hear pretty well before, is that the intention is to have fewer polling stations for the August election, the primary?
That's correct. It would just be for the August election only. November, we would have all 4 polling locations open.
So, and how many are you planning to have?
How many?
For the primary, there'd be one.
Just one.
And we're looking at options on the right place to have that because we have so many absentee ballot requests already based on previous turnout for primaries. We think that the turnout in person voting is going to be pretty low. Plus, we're also concerned about having enough poll workers for that election as well. But then in November, it's back to the normal 4 locations because the turnout's so high for that since it's a presidential election.
Okay, my only concern is that, eliminating polling station, we are also limiting the people that, they want to participate in this, in the election, and, they don't have the opportunity sometimes, or don't have the transportation to go to places where they are not used to go. So that's it.
Yeah, we'll continue promoting the absentee ballots, and hopefully the Elections Commission will approve sending that absentee ballot information to everyone so that everyone does get that. And if people do have transportation issues and things like that, they can sign up now. They don't need to wait until we get close to the election.
Correct.
Yeah. Julia, another question?
Yeah, my other question is about how we are promoting the absentee ballot. Is something that we have to be more, we need to think about all the channels to promote this because, sometimes posting in our website or in our Facebook page, I don't think that is enough. I think we need to do a better outreach, informing the people about this option.
All right. Dorothy.
Yeah, and kind of similar to Julia, I'm also concerned about people from my end of the city actually making it. So a question again for Tracy to ask for Wisconsin Election Commission is what's happening at DMV to help people get their voter IDs. That's going to become essential if we want people to absentee ballot particularly.
All right. Anything else? More to come. We'll keep talking about this. Joe, go ahead. Oh, I can't hear you.
We are looking into like what the location will be for August. That we strongly consider, location being somewhere that's more accessible to places where there's less likely to be drivers. I think that might, address an equity issue. So, if it's at City Hall, I don't have the data on this, but I'd imagine that folks that live nearby City Hall probably will be able to drive. So, maybe we should consider having it, somewhere where transportation is more likely to be a barrier.
Yeah.
The other question I had was, is the are the election commission meetings open to the public or are they private?
That's a good question. I believe that they are private. I don't have access to be able to attend or watch it or view it, so.
Okay.
Randy, do you have some information on that?
From my experience, in another role, they're open to the private, but they have a closed session often. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
They're open to they're open to the public, but they do have a closed session often, so, I'm
They're
sure you
open
can
and-
attend, but I'm looking at their calendar, and it says a special teleconference, so it's probably a teleconference that you can just join on at 4 PM tomorrow. I'm sure they just posted that date or time.
And I know for locations, we have a few potential sites, possibly the community center next door to City Hall. We're talking with the school, Verona School District, about using one of their schools possibly. And then another potential option that we can talk to is the new Blackhawk Church off of Seminole Highway. I know those are 3 areas that we're reaching out to. Obviously, we can do community center, but we're checking on the other 2 options, which are a little more central. Gabriella?
Request from Tracy, I'd be interested to see the numbers on the absentee ballots that came back in the spring. How many came back, with an improper witness signature or were invalid in some particular way? I'd be interested in seeing if you have statistics on what those different conditions under which people's ballots weren't counted. I'd just be interested in seeing in that, and I wonder if that could help inform some of the education that we're gonna do around absentee ballots. Yeah, I'd just love to see those numbers if we have them. Maybe at the next meeting, we could actually present them. Is that possible?
They're actually available on the inspector statement. The
Oh, they are.
inspectors write down exactly why they rejected an absentee ballot, the reason why it was rejected.
And the inspector statement, is that up on the clerk section of the
It's not.
website?
I can send you the forms.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, more to come. We'll keep updating you. Things like, if they're anything like the spring election, they'll change by the day and maybe even by the hour, depending on the day. All right. Direct referrals. First one, Sarah, do you want to speak to this or do a resolution for this motion?
Sure, I'd make a motion to approve resolution R8320, authorizing acceptance of proposal from AE2S to conduct a stormwater study for Fitchburg Road and Goose Lake.
There's a second? Second. All right, second by Shannon. Did Public Works approve?
Yes.
Did Finance approve?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Sarah, do you want to speak to this?
Sure, so the cost for this project is $42,840, and half of the project cost will be paid by the town of Verona per the revised governmental agreement. The project aims to to research modifications that can be made to improve the flood conditions of that area.
Kind of like we talked about, I think, last meeting, it backs up and floods Fitchburg Road, so we want to do anything we can to prevent that from happening all the time and destroying that road. So I think it's like the $6,000 more roughly, I think, that we have to provide towards that,
Yes.
going off of memory. Yeah, roughly, give or take a few bucks. All right, questions, comments at all on this one? All right, seeing none, we'll go right to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. That one is approved. You want to do the next one too, Sarah?
Sure, I make a motion to approve resolution R10220, approving a temporary pumping plan for the Sub-Zero kettle.
Second.
All right, seconded. And did Public Works approve?
Yes.
And what is it, Sarah?
So this is a little confusing to me because it's a kettle pump that they plan to install south of the Sub-Zero Parkway as part of the Stoner Prairie Neighborhood Plan. It is to mitigate stormwater. It's basically that they want to pump the water that's in the kettle on off-peak periods so they can kind of move that water, since there is no natural outlet of the kettle, out of the kettle, and then get some data on how much water is within the kettle, how much they have to pump. It really is just all part of their stormwater mitigation plan and just a research initiative.
Pat, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, there's, since the kettle's been built, it's retained water, and if you drive by that site, you'll notice that it always looks full. At this point, we believe there's some groundwater issues that's forcing the water not to
Infiltrate.
infiltrate, that's the word I'm looking for, into the soil. And the groundwater is coming up there because it's a high groundwater table. So this will be able to look at that, this study that they're doing, if we pump that out and the water remains high and we don't get any rain, obviously it's a groundwater situation.
And the key is that anytime they pump water out will be when it's been dry, there's no danger of flooding somewhere else, wherever that water goes.
Yeah, they would likely do that in the month of August or something like that.
Okay. Questions on this? Yeah, Gabriella.
I was kind of interested in this. So I'm a geologist by training, and a kettle, in case you all don't know, it's a geological feature. It's like when the glacier retreated, the glacier that was covering Madison, it left a big chunk of ice behind, and that melted and turned into like a lake that has no outlet or inlet because the water was derived from that chunk of ice. So I thought that was pretty cool. I actually didn't know that we did, stormwater management using a natural glacier feature like that. I'm not mistaken about that, right? Because the kettle is a scientific term.
Yeah, we actually we scraped that stormwater basin, so it was actually a soil scrape that's contained within the kettle. That whole area out there near sub-zero is a large kettle. It's a basin.
Oh, got it.
Not just where the stormwater is, but that whole area you'll see out there. There's a big ridge line. That's a kettle.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Randy.
Where is the water pumped to?
We're looking at the appropriate site to pump that water. There could be some opportunities to pump it to the south with appropriate easements.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there would definitely be an easement in place. We wouldn't just pump it and let it go down the stormwater inlet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good.
Julia, go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay. So I saw in the package that some of this water can be pumped to eventually reach Danmar.
Yeah, I think one of the options is for it to pump north, which eventually, after it goes through a bunch of stuff, could reach Dunn's Marsh.
Yep. Yeah, it could go both ways. The natural flow of that kettle, if it were to overflow, would go to the north. But they're looking at all sorts of options there, where to pump it, what would be the easiest way and the less impact to property.
But it's not going to affect the neighborhood beside, isn't it? Because they have another, you know what I mean? I thought in the map.
The water would not be pumped into any residential areas, no.
It's going to go through the stormwater system and then eventually go to the Seminole Village, where the Seminole Highway Pond, and then from there to Danmar, isn't it?
That's one potential route, yes.
Okay.
But again, only during times when there's not flooding in that area where we're not going to adversely impact that area. Because I know there's some areas over there that have had some flooding issues, and so we're not going to make that problem worse or do anything in that area if there is a lot of water there. Yep. Go ahead, Julia.
How much is going to cost to do all this pumping? Is part of a CIP plan project, or is part of the TID? I don't know.
It is part of the TID. It would be part of the stormwater allocation, the project line that's in the TID.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Seeing nothing, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
And opposed, nay. All right, that one's approved. Do you want to do the next one too, Sarah?
Yep, motion to approve resolution R10420, the purchase of the 2020 F-550 dump truck equipment.
Second?
Seconded by Randy. Did Public Works approve?
Yes.
Did Finance approve?
Yes.
Yes, all right, good. And then Sarah, you want to speak to this?
Yes, so this was they put a quote out for a dump truck equipment. It includes a pre-wet system for salting pavement within parking lots and a snowplow. They believe the pre-wetting system is a lot more effective for keeping the snow preventing slick surfaces. The bid is over what they estimated by $14,673. However, they do plan to recoup that by the sale of their 2008 F-35. So it was also not the lowest bid, but when they compared the equipment that they were receiving within the bid, it met their needs better with stainless steel features and things like that, that what they really think would help the life of the product. So it's just for the equipment for the dump truck, including the pre-wet system that they think will really help for parking lots, and then the snowplow.
All right. Questions at all? Tom?
Question on this, it was, I don't remember the number, I want to say 95,000, 100,000, is it, how much was this? What was the total, do you remember?
673.
I only raised this question because of the COVA, what's going on in our money, in our expense. Do we really need this right now?
We do. In order to prep for the additional roads we have, in addition to eventually taking, we're going to have Terravesa this year, which is an additional whole neighborhood. We're going to have several roads in Fahey Fields, which is our additions. So given that and the age of our fleet, we need to get this vehicle equipped. We've already, this body's already approved the truck. This is just the equipment for it. So we would like to get that truck into service as soon as possible. This would allow it to get in service by December of this year.
I think it was last meeting we approved the purchase of the truck itself, and now it's the plow and the salter and that type of stuff that actually goes.
Yeah, real similar to what you're familiar with the way we used to purchase police cars. We'd purchase a police car and then we would equip it afterwards.
I guess what I was looking at was the number up there is, Rainey, what was the discussion in finance on this? Was there much discussion?
I don't remember any great length of discussion. No. Do you, Julia? Gabrielle?
No, we have Misty explained very well that, even though it's going to be a little bit more, but then I think they're planning to sell other equipment and we are recuperate that difference. So.
And my impression from Misty as well was that there was confidence that we would not end up going over budget in the grand scheme of things, because between the sale of the old truck and also moving around money in some other places where there was underspent.
You're talking about going over, not over budget, you're talking about you're just talking about the truck, right?
Yeah. So like the whatever was budgeted is probably what our end cost will be, given the other factors playing.
I only raised it because of the times we're in. No other reason. I mean, that's, the revenue's not going to be there. This is going to be a tough year. And I know about the roads. I know how many we have. I know how many we added. But this is not going to be pretty. So that's why I'm questioning it. Otherwise, I never would. I'd vote for it. But this is not a normal year, folks. This is not normal. Trust me. And it's only the tip of the iceberg you're seeing right now.
Julia, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make a comment. This project was already in the CIP plan, so I agree I understand your concern about the budget, but if we don't do this and we have, I don't know how many new roads and many new subdivisions, we are going to be even paying overtime for the crew people to, to remove the snow, if we don't have the equipment, the proper equipment. So it's like I understand your concern, but it's something that the city already planned for this equipment because of the growth, the new neighborhood, new roads, you know.
Gabrielle.
I'd also just say for Tom, your concern is very valid. Misty spoke a little bit to this at the beginning of finance, talking about the context of the city budget in COVID, and I think she might talk about it tomorrow night at Committee of the Whole. But if she doesn't specifically speak to it, maybe she could just present it to the whole council, because in her telling, there are some. Us as a local municipality has a little bit less of the negative impact from COVID than like the county or the state as a whole. You know, the fact that we don't take sales taxes and things of that nature. So,
Well,
maybe she could speak at the comprehensive plan, because it was very interesting to me, and I didn't have the full context before, and it definitely would be valuable for the whole council to hear it.
well, the reason I bring it up too is due to the fact that, we relied a lot even on room tax. The room tax isn't there. It's not there. And the mayor's going to have a tough budget. He's going to have a real tough budget. His pencil is going to probably be sharpened seven times before.
Let's stick to the dump truck, actually, because we're starting to talk budget, and I realize the budget will be tough.
Well, and I hear we approved something. Doesn't mean, just because you approved it doesn't mean you can't change it. Keep that in mind as an alder. I heard what Julia said. I get it. I totally get it. But that doesn't mean you can't change it. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, I think. And like I said, we approved it, so it's in the budget, so it's okay to go. And we have more roads. We've done a lot of good things with our road equipment, with the roads we have, and even the ones we're adding a few. We've done a whole lot of good things. But when I see numbers like this popping up, and here's the thing, when all of this truck was going down the line, we didn't have COVID. We didn't have what we're in right now. I'll leave it at that.
Julia, I saw your hand. Do you want to say something, or can we vote? Go ahead, Julia.
I want to make something about the room tax.
We can't talk about room tax on this piece. That's not
that's not
relevant.
relevant.
I know, but I want to make a comment because people maybe can get confused with some of the comment that Tom made, so I want to clarify something.
It's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not related to dump truck.
Okay, but if you want, it's fine.
Room tax is not a big piece of our budget, but yeah. All right, let's go ahead and just vote. I think we've exhausted this. We do need 2/3 majority, but I don't think that'll be a problem. So I will ask all in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, I heard one nay, so that passes. All right, next one, finance, it looks like. So Julia, do you want to do this resolution?
Yes, I move approval of resolution R-105-20, authorizing a taxation district to waive interest and penalty on the property tax payment installment due on or after April 1st, 2020.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. Julia, you want to speak to this?
So, so as you know, the next installment payment for our property taxes is July 31st. So the date has not changed, but in response of COVID-19, local government can temporarily waive interest and penalty for tax installment due after April 1st. Interest and penalty can waive until October 1st, 2020, only if your municipality, in this case Fitchburg, passes a health emergency resolution. So I'm going to tell you that I received today, Dane County sent me to pay my second installment, and they send you a piece of information regarding how you have to pay. If you don't pay, the installment, what is going to happen. So what we're trying to do is to waive the penalty and interest until October 1st. And the impact to the city is minimal. We discussed this in finance, and then Misty explained us very well that since Dane County already retained most of the interest and penalty of delinquent payments, so there is little direct cost to the city for the changes proposed.
Yeah, so
I
still
think
get
this
our
is a good thing.
Yeah, we'll still get our money. We're just not going to penalize them, and we don't have any cash flow issues or anything like that. Any questions? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Let's see, Julie, do you want to do this one?
What is that one?
This is number 5. It's the revolving loan fund.
I move approval of resolution R-10820, authorizing a budget amendment to transfer $150,000 from Fitchburg's revolving loan fund to capitalize the Forward Fitchburg Business Boost Loan Program and guidelines.
Is there a second?
I can second.
Seconded by Dorothy. Did CETA approve?
Yeah, we approved it this morning with some changes.
All right, and did finance approve?
Yes, we approve it.
All right, and I will hand it off to Mike here maybe in a second.
Yeah.
This is another thing that we have been working on to help our businesses as well. And so this is initially proposed as a short-term loan with only 1% interest for businesses that are in Fitchburg. They have to be 15 or less FTE employees, and they can't be like a Target or something, big chain. It has to be a local business in Fitchburg. I know originally we proposed 1% interest, no interest, no payments until January 1st. And then we also proposed a maximum of $5,000. I know that there's some discussion about those two
big
things.
changes.
Yeah, there's some changes, but the initial proposal, I know there's been some changes to that. Mike, do you want to speak further to what we're doing here?
This is another initiative with our Fitchburg Economic Recovery Team and our partners at the Fitchburg Chamber Visitor Business Bureau. We knew we had this money there. There's $186,000 in the revolving loan fund account. That program was capitalized years ago through tax increment district number 3, which is where the Oak Bank is and the Fitchburg Business Park is, a very successful TID. We capitalized this program. We knew we had the resources, and in working with the chamber, we were thinking, how do we best utilize those dollars? And we wanted to hold off a little bit because we felt that during the shutdown period, it really should be the federal government providing the resources through the Paycheck Protection Program, the Injury Disaster Loan, and then Dane County stepped up big time with some of the state money that they got to do the small business, the Dane County Small Business Program through Dane Buy Local and everything. So those were helpful resources. Hopefully our businesses have been able to tap into those programs. And what we wanted to focus on were some resources to help with the reopening and the relaunch for our businesses. So things like, do they need to do some interior retrofits to kind of implement the social distancing and kind of health protocols? Like in the cases of some hair salons, do they need to do some plexiglass, partitions? Or if you're in a restaurant and you can't do the self-serve soda machines anymore, do you need to kind of do a relocation of some of that equipment and those kind of expenses related to it? So that's where we kind of came up with the program and thought that if we could, with support of administration, and we talked to finance and legal and everything, and I even checked with Ellers, our financial advisors, just to make sure that there was no issue with doing this with our revolving loan fund money. We got the green light, so we looked at transferring, or would like to transfer $150,000 into this new program. You would have the guidelines, and there's a new red line version based on the changes that CETA made this morning that should have been inserted into your packet. We did increase the employment level to 25 with potential priority on the 15 or less, and then we increased the dollar amount, the loan potential, up to possibly $10,000 as well. And those were, that was one of the recommendations in the letter that you might have, you should have had in an email that I sent you from the Fitchburg Chamber Visitor Business Bureau. They also asked about maybe looking at doing a 0% interest. CETA decided to still keep it at the 1%. It's 1% annually as far as the interest rate there. As the mayor indicated, 6 months, no interest or payment through 2020. First payment would be due at the end of January 31st, 2021, and then it would be 24 equal monthly payments to end at the end of December of 2022. And loan applications, if we get the support from the council tonight, we again would work with our chamber partners to push this out to all of our businesses tomorrow to let them know that this program would be launched. And then we'd like to have the applications due on June 12th. And then we're going to have a loan underwriting review panel look at the applications and hopefully have those decisions kind of in a batch. We need to bring that back to Finance and Council just to kind of, per our finance and purchasing procedures and policies. So there will be a lot of pre-approvals for those who's awarded the loans, the recommendations and stuff like that, just to follow our finance protocols. That would be at your June 26th meeting, I think, and then we try and get the money out the door by the end of June. But again, another good program to really help our businesses. The cash flow working capital is just a lifeline right now, and anything that we can do to assist our local Fitchburg businesses to not only survive, but hopefully going forward to start to thrive again is good for all of us.
Julia, do you want to add anything from discussion in both CETA and finance?
Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. No, I agree with Mike. I see that we did a very complete review of the application form, the requirements. So you can see some of the changes that are still in red. So you can see what are the things that we modify. I think this is a great program for our businesses here in Fitchburg. We need to, even though the amount is, $150,000, but at least we are doing something for them. And the idea is, partnering with the Fitchburg Chamber to do the outreach and to determine how many businesses are really, we're going to benefit with this. But I will ask my fellow alders to approve this. This is a good thing for the city of Fitchburg, especially for our businesses that they are struggling a lot. Believe me, I am seeing that with my own clients every day, what COVID has done to them. So every relief money that they can get is a good thing. So.
Julia, one clarification I had. Your motion, was that to approve the resolution as amended by CETA?
Yes.
Okay, so it has the up to $10,000 and up to 25 FTE is the motion. Okay, I just want to make sure I was clear on that. Valerie, did you want to add anything on this one at all?
No, I think Mike's already covered everything.
All right, great. Gabriella.
I think you in this pack. I think this was in the packet, but I want you to remind me. What are the reporting requirements for the businesses that are granted loans? Like, do they have to provide documentation saying what they used it for, or do we kind of trust them to make their own decisions?
We're kind of trusting them to make their own decisions. In the application, they define kind of what the need is and how they're going to utilize the dollars and proceeds there, but then we're kind of relying on them to.
Yeah, that would be my preference, just to let them do what they need to do. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
We don't need to micromanage them.
Yeah. Some of the other.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Hold on a second. I got Tom first.
I just saw,
That's okay.
Mike, in page 186, when there's a business boost funding request, the table, you need to change the maximum amount is still $5,000.
Okay.
Oh, we missed one of the changes on the documents. Okay.
Okay. We'll get that updated, Julia. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Tom.
I guess I have a question for Valia, the city attorney. What does the city put in place if they can't pay this money back? Just because of financial problems, or they weren't able to stay afloat? What happens?
I would think that if a business has difficulty repaying the loan because they're insolvent and go bankrupt, then our options would be fairly limited. I don't know that the city is well positioned to go into collections. It's certainly something we could arm out, but we don't have internally like a collections arm.
So there is a potential that no one pays us back and we're out the $150,000, but I think the goal and the hope is that this prevents those businesses from going under. Dorothy, I saw your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of my questions was if people end up defaulting. So I understand our position on that. So we're talking about businesses expanding out into the parking lot and such. Will they be able to use this money to put up fencing and things like that?
Yeah, they can use it for whatever they want. We're not really placing
Okay.
restrictions on that, whether it's
And-
payroll or fencing or anything like that.
That would be kind of the retrofitting, Dorothy, you know, in response to some of the impact of COVID.
And then is the standard amount going to be up to 10,000, or are we going to say 5,000 that can be extended to 10,000 if there are extenuating circumstances or need?
I think we're going to wait to see how many applications and the requested amounts that come in, and then the loan underwriting review committee will kind of make that determination. So somebody may request 10,000, but if there's a huge number of applications and a huge demand, I'm not sure, you know, how many would be funded at that $10,000 level unless they provided a lot of, let's say, detailed and strong information as far as the need for that particular retrofit or something that maybe they're doing within their business. But we're going to kind of leave that for the underwriting committee to determine.
Do you want to speak to who's on the
I believe
underwriting
it's going to
committee?
be extremely popular and you're going to have a hard time sorting through it.
Yeah, I think we realize that there's more need out there than resources, and one thing I'll be real transparent about is this is a one-time source of dollars. There's not a second round, you know, or a second well to tap into for this. And I think, as Misty pointed out at the Finance Committee meeting, the part that I was here for is even if there's stimulus 4 coming from the feds, it's not likely that there's going to be dollars that flow directly to Fitchburg to do something like this. So that's why we thought this was a good use of these dollars to help our businesses as much as we can, but it is limited, and that's why we are going to put together some scoring criteria, you know, based on application eligibility, kind of the use of funds, and things like that to help us rate the applications there. But I think we're going to see, you know, quite a bit of demand, you know, from it.
Can you speak to who's on the underwriting committee?
Sure. So far, we're still kind of working out the details and putting it together, but we're hoping to have 3 people, 1 representative from CETA. We've already got Dan Hardy volunteered to do that. And then our Fitchburg Finance Director, Misty Dodge, volunteered today. And then we're hoping to have a 3rd member, and we're working on talking to a couple of people about that. But they've got the legal, finance, we want the expertise of that group. And as you can see, Joyce and I are not on it, and some other people are not on it because we want to be a step removed. We have too many relationships with the various businesses, you know, there, and just really need to keep it kind of an objective, open, and transparent process. And I think with the expertise that we'll have on the group, we'll be able to deliver that.
So you're looking at like a lender, someone with lending experience for that 3rd position, probably?
Yeah.
Yeah, great, okay. Good. Other questions, comments?
Or finance background, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Gabriella?
I just wanted to say thanks to you and your team for coming up with some creative solutions to support these businesses. I think it's great work. I'm glad that you're being creative in what we can do, and I'm excited that we're able to do some things because I don't know that all localities will be able to do things like this, so I'm really excited that we're moving forward on this.
You know, our local businesses, they make Fitchburg, all of our businesses do, but the local ones add that really quality of life, you know, and things that make us special here and unique, and anything we can do to support them. And I know as we talked internally, and we're going into it with our eyes wide open, you know, we may lose some, you know, there, but we'd rather, you know, work with them, and we'd bet on the Fitchburg businesses any day that they'll pay us back or figure out a way to, unless things really spiral out of control, even more than they already have.
All right, anything else? All right, all in favor of approving this, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Thank you, Mike.
One last thing I will mention, sorry, is we're also going to work with our friends at the Latino Chamber, the Black Chamber, and some other organizations to make sure we're getting the word out to all audiences and potential applicants out there.
All right, thank you. Next one, Sarah, do you want to do this? Looks like it's kind of a public works thing.
Sure. This one, motion to approve resolution R 10920, a resolution accepting subdivision improvements in phases B, C, D, E, and F in the plat of Terra Vesa.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, second. Do you want to speak to this, or do you want Pat to speak to this, or?
I think Pat can, but I think this is the one where you were talking yesterday where these improvements are just to help move along the Terra Vesa development so that people can start moving in, but I'm sure Pat can fill in additional details.
Go ahead, Pat.
Thanks, Sarah. This is basically all the public infrastructure that's out there, the curb, the road, the sidewalk, stormwater basins, et cetera. Before the city takes it over, we have to do like a thorough inspection to make sure it's something that is of good quality, well-constructed, and we believe we're at that point now. This will also allow the residents within those areas to move in, and I know a lot of people are chomping at the bit, but we did want to make sure that it was done correctly, and we're at that point now, so staff is recommending approval.
Yeah, I know there's 5 or 6 houses that are done, and people can't move in until we accept these improvements, and so
Correct.
it'll be really sad if we don't approve it.
Yeah.
All right, any questions at all? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right, looks like we're gonna have our first residence in Terra Vesa later this week. All right, this looks like it might be finance. How about Julia, do you wanna do this one, since it went to finance?
Which one? The
Number 7?
11?
Number 7.
One second. Is the revision to the state municipal agreement, that one?
Yep. Yeah.
So I need a motion to approve resolution R-110-20 revision to the state municipal agreement for my key road and Commerce Park to Seminole Highway.
Second.
All right, did finance approve?
Yes, so
All right, you wanna speak to it, Julia?
this one is we are receiving more funding for this project that I was a project, the city of Madison, there was some money left, and then the DOT decided to reassign that allocation of funds to this project. So we are accepting more money. So this is a good thing.
Even better than not costing us more money, we're getting more money. All right, any discussion? All right, I'm guessing everyone wants us to get more free money. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. And next up is a closed session. Gabriella, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to recuse myself from this. I live in the Seminole Glen condominiums, so.
All right, so we have one person recusing themselves. Who would like to read? You got to read the whole paragraph to go into closed session. Who would like to do that? You got to read the whole paragraph. Make a motion to go into closed session. Yeah, it's all you, Shannon. You just volunteered.
I didn't volunteer. I just said, what are we doing?
No, I told you.
Get on my page here. Close current tab. Hold on. All right. So motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 1G. Conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategies to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. Erie Insurance Exchange versus City of Fitchburg and Zoning Department. Do you need me to do the case?
Oh, yeah, the whole thing. Yep.
ETEL case number hashtag 2020 CV 0006633.
All right, is there a second? Second by Tom. All in favor of moving to closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, we are in closed session. Good. All right, Shannon.
I'm going to make a motion to reconvene into open session.
Is there a second? Second by Randy. All in favor of reconvening into open session, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right, we are back into open session. There is no action at this point in time on the item that we were in the closed session for, so we can just move on to announcements. Tomorrow's committee of the whole meeting. Julie, do you want to speak to our topics tomorrow?
Well, yes, so tomorrow, the first part of the meeting, Misty Dodge is gonna be talking about the CIP, process and procedures. So for the new alders, I recommend that you pay a lot of attention because it's a lot of information. And then the second part, of the meeting, Sonia, Crusoe, she's gonna do a presentation about Planning 101, especially going through a lot of terminology about the comprehensive plan and zoning, and so it's going to be a good refresh for all of us going through this exercise, especially for the new alders. So it's going to be a lot of good information tomorrow.
Yep, I believe at 7 o'clock. That's one difference between committee of the whole is it's half an hour earlier. So don't show up at 7. Well, you can show up at 7:30. It'll just be half an hour late. Julia, do you have another thing?
I have another question regarding the seating there in the chamber. What happens if we want to go to the chamber? So what is going to be the seating arrangement there? Because we need to keep the 6 feet separation.
Yep, we have people separated. If there's a lot of people that want to be here and we don't have enough space, then maybe someone can sit on the edge or sit at the kind of presenter as well. It probably won't be. I'll sit in the audience. I don't care. So.
Yeah, there's plenty of seats in the room still, Julia, I believe.
Oh, okay.
We probably have about 15 chairs outside the diocese and the presenters table.
Okay.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Shannon. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Goodbye.